Okay, Paul, do you want to do the do or do you want me to do it?
You can do it for a change.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode, another slice of mind cake where tonight, this evening, or this morning, depending on where you are, we are privileged and honored to be joined by John Koenig, who is a past life regression hypnotist from Rhode Island. Hello, John.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I was going to say good morning. Is it still morning there, or are you
It's
afternoon?
early afternoon here.
Early afternoon. Yes. How is the weather in Rhode Island?
It's never good, and
Oh,
today is
really?
no exception. Yeah,
Oh,
it,
something.
it
Well,
You got
and
your
that's
garden
the
as
truth. It
well.
gets good. It gets good for 3 months in the summer, and then you put up with it the rest of the year.
I was going to say we have that in common, John, but our
I
weather doesn't
know.
get that good in the summer either. So
Yeah, ours is a bit better than yours, I think.
just a touch, just
Yeah,
a
it could be
touch.
any worse. Could be any worse. Um, well, I guess we should start with past life regressions. Presumably allows you to explore who you were or what you were in a previous life. So, if I had a previous life, when did they start, and what bits of me existed in those previous lives other than presumably my mind? Because obviously I wasn't me. So if I was whoever I was, is it just my mind that then transcends?
Well,
How does that work, John?
I'll give you the kind of Reader's Digest version. Most people that do what I do believe that who we are fundamentally is a soul,
Hmm.
a soul living inside of this physical incarnation, and that souls are eternal. And that the name of the game is evolution, that we choose incarnations to grow. We choose challenges and opportunities, our culture, everything that becomes us. And each life has a specific uh, question or mission that it has to answer, uh, a fundamental one. There are other secondary ones, of course, but you get a life and it has a challenge and you have for example, the first life I bumped into was a private when our country broke away from the UK, Private Riley, first Colonel Dragoons, and he was about pretension. He wanted to be a big man, and he was a little man. And his claim to fame was he had a silk shirt like some of the officers. And his whole life was about wanting to be a big man, and he didn't have what it took. Ego. So that life ends unresolved. And so I bring into this life challenge of my own self-esteem and ego that I get to work through. But I've been through about 30 of my past life experiences with different facilitators.
Wow.
And each of them was different. Each of them had, but they all have common themes, or they're all part of the same orchestra, with different instruments playing. So when you do this work, that's the assumption is that we are spirits here. And it makes challenges seem a lot more palatable. You ask yourself, why is somebody born with horrible birth defects? Infant dies or is in horrible pain. Nothing I knew about religion explained that in a satisfactory way.
Hmm.
If you hypothesize a good deity, why would a good deity do that to
Yeah.
an innocent child? And those questions, religion tries so hard to answer, and I don't think succeeds. Why do good things happen to bad people? The answer to that is the soul of that child chose to incarnate with this kind of horrible physical challenge, perhaps to atone for something or to accept pain, whatever, but also so that its parents could experience in their karma having a child with incredible needs. It's like a mosaic. They're all interconnected. There are no coincidences. Everything that happens for a reason in this vision of things. In my book, my autobiographies, I call it Spirit School. And a lot of other people will say things that are similar. We're all here to learn and to teach each other. And sometimes the teachers we bump into in life drive us nuts. You
Hmm.
know, you get like, why don't I choose my parents? Why did they choose me? Why did I choose my siblings, my kids? We drive each other nuts, but always with the idea that these are teachers and learning opportunities. So that is, I think, what's available to people by doing this work. Plus, we started talking about the fear of death.
Mhm.
If you understand or believe or experience, it's even better, forgetting belief, that when you transition, you go back into your true home, you go back into spirit nature, and then you sit around for a while and process. A lot of people who have had near-death experiences say that there's like a reckoning with your life as you're dying. You kind of like process your whole life. You know, your life flashes before you, and in a way where you're sort of analyzing, how did I do in this incarnation? And that people that do this work, the Tibetans call it the bardo, continues after that point, and you figure out what you want to do next. And I chose to be this born in New York and a white kid with the family I chose, and here I am now, you know, as I am nearing the end of this incarnation. Nobody gets out of this thing without pain. Nobody gets out of this thing without dying.
Mhm.
You know, and everyone knows that intellectually. You go to a funeral, you think about that for an hour,
Mhm.
and then you forget about it.
Yeah.
That all of us have an end, and but that the end, when you do this work, becomes a different beginning. You know, back
So,
into where it is.
so yeah, sorry, I should write notes because I'm going to go off at tangents again, John. Um, so you've had 30, so you've had 30 lives that you're aware of.
I'm aware of, roughly.
Have you, when did they start? When was the first one? And
Uh,
have you written autobiographies for all 30?
no, I've put about 14 in my book. Uh,
Okay.
I was never interested in this at all. I thought people that got involved in reincarnation were self-indulgent and fanciful. And a guy that I was working with's wife was a facilitator. And I went to her on a whim, basically. And suddenly I discovered Private Riley. People experience these lives in different ways. When I do a regression with somebody, sometimes I did one the other day, and the woman was right there and experiencing and speaking from the voice of her past life. And I'm like that. But most people, you get a general sense of it, you
Mhm.
get images, or you describe it. I see this, I see that. Um, I have a little video that I offer how to train yourself to do it. You have to let go of expectations. What the worst client anybody like me gets is somebody who thinks, I know I was Cleopatra in a prior life. I want to go back and experience Cleopatra. Because what they're going to do is they're going to manipulate everything
Mm.
to have a Cleopatra experience so they can tell their friends, oh, I am Cleopatra. And people that do the work that I do, I'm actually conservative
Mhm.
to some of them. There's one when I meet her at conferences, I say, Your Majesty, because she's absolutely, you know, believes that this is what she was. I
Mm.
have a reservation. I don't even know if I made all this stuff up, truthfully. There's a wonderful, wonderful bit of research. Anybody's really interested in this, an American guy, University of Virginia, called Ian Stevenson. Uh, it's a division of perceptual studies, he calls it. He's deceased now, but he's documented over 3,000 cases in meticulous scientific way, going back and finding the life the person said they had and solving it. Sometimes looking at autopsy results and but when you're and he looks for kids.
I was going to say I did some research this afternoon, and I
Yeah.
saw that you could argue whether there's scientific proof or whatever, but there's something that you can't explain in that children have explained or given accounts of. Well, I'm stealing your thunder now, but yes, go on. You will put it much better than I will.
I'll share the thunder because
Yes.
it's human thunder. Anybody who's interested in this, his work is a great starting place.
Hmm.
It's called 20 Cases Suggestive of Reincarnation. He's also got a follow-up, which is a two-volume, 1,000-page, where he looks at things like birth marks. So somebody has a birthmark on their chest
Hmm.
where they were stabbed when they were a Roman legionnaire. And but that's a case he could not validate.
Hmm.
But he's able to go back and the person was stabbed in a bar fight, 30 years ago. That he's able to do,
Mhm.
autopsy. And he connects those in that amazing book, as well as birth defects that he connects to prior life experiences that kids report. He likes to get them. He liked to get them at like age 7 or younger, so that you hadn't had a chance to corrupt yourself with, watching Spartacus and thinking the next day,
Yeah,
oh, I
yeah.
was a Roman gladiator.
Or Cleopatra.
Oh, Cleopatra
Yeah.
or King Arthur.
But
When
you could,
someone,
but you could
yeah,
say that, like you say, you could say that these kids, uh, and like I say, I haven't done a deep dive into it, but from what I seem to glean is that they've come up with kids have got a great imagination and they can come up with a fanciful story, but then it actually relates to the fact of someone when you research it. It relates to an actual life that somebody had, and there's no way they could have known X, Y, and Z.
there's a Netflix documentary, I forget the name of it, where they trace this kid who believed he was a fighter pilot in World War II. He knew the name of the ship. He knew the name of his commanding officer. He corrected people when they said that a certain thing under the ship was a bomb. He said, no, that was an extra fuel tank. 5 years old. No, that's not a bomb, Mom. That's a fuel tank.
Hmm.
It's
You
crazy,
know,
isn't it?
it absolutely. If you read Ian Stevenson's work through, you will become convinced
Hmm.
that this is certainly. He calls it 20 cases suggestive of reincarnation. He's an academic. He's not going to actually go out and say it. But I defy anybody to read his work and think this is not worth consideration.
Well, I am skeptical by nature anyway, and I have actually had is probably a good time because Paul is much more, I think, open to these things, aren't you, Paul?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Compared
Uh,
to you, definitely. Yeah.
compare with me. So I've actually done past life regression,
Ah, okay.
and it was one of the most stressful uh, things that I think I've ever done because I didn't kind of go under, and the person there was saying, right, so you're going down, down deeper and deeper and deeper into this like down these steps into a corridor. I'm pricing, but and then there's a long corridor, and then there's numbers above it. Can you see the doors, Lee? And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I can see the doors. And there's a number above every door. And so go through one of the doors. What's above the door? And I'm like, I don't know, 1610. So all these numbers are a year. So I went through the door, and what do you see? And because I didn't have the gumption to sort of sit up and go, do you know what? This isn't working for me. I'm just kind of making stuff up. And so I found it because I was just ended up making up these stories on the hoof. And so what can you see? And I can see, a mud hut next to a river, and he's right, go inside the mud hut, and what can you see? And I'm like, I might, because I'm never very good at history, right? So historically, I was all over the place, not quite as bad as they had electric kettles or whatever, but the things really didn't fit because I was just making it up on the hoof to try and save face. And then at the end, he said, "Oh, that was really." He made notes. That was really good. I mean, really got some good stuff there. And I said, "Have you done this for a while?" Then he said, "No, no." He says, "I used to be a British gas engineer." And so that was my. I went home. I've still got the bit of paper somewhere where I basically had to go through these three different doors. But because I wasn't kind of under, I suppose, if that's the right term, I ended up just having to make these. And then that was going to be one of my questions. So when you have people who are saying, "Oh, well, I would imagine a lot of people are Roman emperors or legionnaires or something, or Cleopatra. I mean,
Most people are peasants.
peasants, yeah.
You've got a lot more peasants than
Well,
Cleopatra.
exactly, yeah. By definition, or by what's the word I'm looking for? By
Lot-
um, yeah, statistically, you're more likely to be a peasant.
Here's the thing, Lee. You will never know. You will never know if you just made it all up. That's why Stevenson gets kids.
Uh-huh.
And someone like me, I've had people in my office, and I get a sense they're doing what you're doing. And you can usually, as a hypnotist, tell is a person reporting or creating. And
It was awful. Honestly, I was so stressed because I'm like,
you were being
I can
polite. You were being very polite.
I can see a mirror. Or did they have mirrors in the 1600s? I don't know. And it was no. I mean, I was sweating. It wasn't it wasn't relaxing. And no, I wasn't. Do you know what it was? I was actually researching my family tree at the time, and so I based some of it on sort of my great granddad because I was just trying to think on my feet. But
You're also a writer, Lee. And I was a madman. I was an ad guy, and I'm used to making stuff up. So I really don't know how corrupted my own experiences were.
but
Yeah,
what if you went and you weren't a writer? That's what I'm saying. If you were just, you know,
well, everybody's got creativity that
yeah,
they
yeah.
can, or recollections. They saw a movie,
Mm,
and suddenly, they saw a movie about the Holocaust. Now I'm in this pajama. I'm in pajamas. I can't. Oh, wait, they're striped. That's why Stevenson looks at kids.
mm,
And anybody who wants to know is reincarnation the way the universe is designed, read his book and see
mm,
if you can talk yourself out of it. When he goes into such detail, he calls it solving a case, where they go back, take the kid's recollection, go back. I met one of the men who was in his study when he was a little kid, and it's incredible. In his case, his family that he came from was still alive.
mm,
So they take him to the neighborhood. He knows the exact street. He goes to the house. He goes into his wife. And now he's 6 years old. And he said, I'm home. He recognized her. He knew his brother's names, recognized them when they came in. He knew where things were hidden in the house. You
wow.
know, is that money box still behind there?
Mm,
That is the reality of it. People like grown-ups. I think my experience were real. They seem more like recollections than creations,
mm,
but I'll never know,
no.
to be honest.
So, John, you said that you personally had an experience. I think it was someone you were working with's wife. Did you say that kind
Uh,
of first got you
And
on?
I was a hypnotist, and she didn't even use hypnosis. I don't know what she did. All I knew is I went into her office, we had a little chat, and suddenly I'm Private Riley. And I mentioned at the start he was pretentious. So I felt my lips curl. I said, because I spoke, he spoke through me. I said, I'm Corporal Private. He wanted to be bigger than he was.
Mm,
That was his whole thing. But speaking about this, I had the experience. He had a message to give to his captain. And so he's very self-important. He's going to bring this important message to his captain. So he goes to this large house, and either it was a meeting of officers or it was a social event. But they won't let him go in. The guy at the door takes the message. But he walks in. I walk in the door, and I'm looking around, and it's something weird. And I realize I've never in my life been in a ballroom lit by candles.
Mhm.
And the way the lights looked, I said, oh, that's what that is. I had the experience working in the pyramids, and I'm pushing these big bricks along with other poor souls, and somebody is taking palm leaves and putting them under the rollers. They put this green thing under, and I kind of sensed it was for lubrication. Well, I researched that's likely one of the ways they did it.
mm,
But it was not like making something up. It was like, what's that? Why is that
Mhm.
so green? Why is it under the roller? Um, and that's when it's its sweetest and best if the client is experiencing it rather than creating it.
mm,
And I believe most people who do what I do can tell
yeah.
if somebody is just making it up.
And was it that first experience that you had being regressed to Private Riley? Was it Riley?
But really, yeah.
Yeah. Was it that one experience that then turned you on to exploring
Oh my
this as
God,
a career?
I couldn't believe it. It was
Mhm.
so real. I wasn't expecting anything, and then I began to pursue other ones, and then I met certain practitioners. I'm part of a professional association, and I met this amazing guy, uh, David Quigley, who makes me look so conservative, like a banker. And David is beautifully out there. And I began doing trainings and getting more interested in it. And and it's and one of the reasons to do this is to solve problems in your current life. As a person does what I do, self-employed, dependent on referrals, one day I get this bad review. A lady I never worked with in my life. And I had missed her appointment, misscheduled. I offered to work with her at no cost, scathing reviews. And I called a practitioner and I went back and found myself as a monk uh, in Germany. And I'm so self-satisfied. I think I'm academic. God and I are like best buddies. And I've got students that I'm teaching how to become clerics. And one day this new student comes and he is a nobleman's, the bishop's nephew, in quotes. Doesn't want to be in my class. So here I am. I feel myself wearing the robes. I'm walking down. I go in there, and the guy disrespects me, and I go nuts. Uh, you know, that my professionalism, just like happened in my current life. And he made the mistake, Brother Thomas, of telling the abbot, who told the archbishop. Thomas gets called into the archbishop, gets demoted to the kitchen, and hangs himself. Because what happened to me with the bad review was I felt I was overreacting. I mean, I tried talking to friends about it. I tried talking to myself about it. But this woman who made this horrible, scathing review, uh, it was like, it really got to me. And so having had this experience, I became normal about it. Yeah, it was a bad review. I got lots and lots of good reviews. But my reaction was over the top.
Mhm.
I had a client, and his issue was when he walked past boys, teenagers, he would think they were laughing at him. And it drove him nuts. He'd turn around, they wouldn't be. And he had been in therapy for other issues as well, but he couldn't get this out of his mind. He had the thought maybe it was a past life. And this is a very good thing to your point about making it up. So we did the regression. He finds himself as a hunter in some primitive society. He's a great hunter. He brings the meat home, honored in the village, beautiful. And he gets wounded, spends the rest of his life as a cripple in his village, totally disrespected. The young men forgot he used to be a great hunter. He was just an object of derision. And I got myself a little chill. So he has that experience, comes out. He says, "Oh my God, I feel so free." Then he called me the next day. He said, for some reason, he'd been favoring one of his legs his whole life, and that problem's gone. And that was the leg that
Oh,
got gorged. Uh, things like that uh, are available. A woman came to me and these people that always date the same person in different bodies,
Yeah.
and their friends say, "Oh, come on, he's just like the last." No, no, this one's different. And they would betray her. She wouldn't try to track him down. So this one guy said to her, "I really like you, but I don't do monogamy. I just don't believe in it. I like you and I'm happy to date with you." And she heard herself thinking, "I can change him."
Mhm.
And that was her wake-up call. She found herself in as a concubine in a palace, and the prince alludes to the fact that he'll make her a wife, going to promote her. The real wives find out about it. She's entombed alive. She literally dies waiting for her prince to come. And this pattern played out over and over and over again with these different guys. So she ended up feeling greatly freed. She dated the guy without expectations.
Mhm.
That's what's available. Sometimes in psychotherapy, you reach a wall. Whatever you're dealing with isn't getting a resolution. And a past life, a lot of people that do what I do are urging all psychotherapists to consider with a resistant client. And by the way, I don't know if those two people made that up. She may have made it up. He may have made it up. And the question I would say with that is, does it matter? When all is said and done, does it matter?
Well, yeah, but from what you're saying is you've done it, you've obviously done it yourself, and I'm guessing from what you're saying that so I'm someone who has very vivid dreams. from what you're saying, it sounds like when you're in your past life, you are that person, you are walking the walk, you are talking the talk, and you are, like, for all intents and purposes, reliving in that person. So how, when it's been facilitated by someone else, how long are you doing that for?
Oh, it can last a long time.
Mm,
These sessions can be very long. And what you want to do is you want to guide the client without being intrusive. Uh, you know, oh, yeah, you're finished with this section, and then you move to the next thing. You look for significant events.
mhm,
Uh, I was doing this training, um, and the idea that you can see where you were involved with somebody in your life, like a spouse,
mhm,
know them in a past life. So I volunteered myself. And suddenly I find myself in, it seemed to be Russia, a lean-to blacksmith shop. And there's this guy with a big beard, and he's banging the metal. And that's my husband, who is my wife in this life. And the facilitator says, what are you doing? I'm bringing him his dinner. And what does he say? And I say, nothing. He's a man of few words. And in my life, I talk all the time. I wake up talking. I talk for a living. My wife is a woman of few words. And but I feel so fortunate in our village to have a husband that didn't beat me, that had a good trade. And it's a great life, but no life is purely great.
mhm.
Wherever you are, whatever you got, you're going to have crap. So he says, go to the next thing. And I hear in the village that the Cossacks are going to come and draft the men. And in our village, when they draft the men, you don't see them again. They're gone. 20 years. If you're lucky, they come back.
Mhm.
And I tell Victor, what's his name? I tell him, we got to get out of here. We have to, and he won't listen to me. I'm only a woman in that life.
Yeah.
And so, in that life, I experienced my own death. They come, they take him. In that life, I had these three children. I worked like a fiend in the fields and never regretting being Victor's wife. Uh, but the mandate from that is to be listened to in this life.
Mhm.
So I've been trying to get my wife's full attention for 53 years. And, you know, she, yes, John, okay.
Still trying. Still
Still
trying.
trying, still trying.
What does your wife, just as a matter of interest, what does your wife think of all this?
She thinks I'm a little bit crazy.
Have
She
you,
likes,
has she had any regression?
she had two.
Okay.
She had, and she goes very vividly under. And
Okay.
one Maria, I'm telling you stories. One story I won't tell. uh, where she worked in a brothel. One of her relatives was the madam. I won't tell you that one.
I mean, don't tell us that one though. It's a family show.
But the one I will tell you is she was an herb lady and probably retarded. And her job was she got herbs, and the people in the village thought she was like weird, witch like weird. They would come and she would give them herbs, and they would give her food in return. And her mother had taught her how to do this, and mother had died, and she was doing this in this kind of hut, and she dies alone. And the end of it, people who do what I do believe the souls often hang around for a while. So her soul is hanging around for a while, and in comes a soldier passing by, and he wants something. He's coming there for some remedy for something, and she remembers distinctly how he crosses himself and backs out,
Oh,
and
really?
no one buried the body. Uh, so Marie, she's had those experiences, but nonetheless,
None,
she
nonetheless.
she is grounded in the here and now. I'm the here now and the hereafter and the here
Yeah.
before.
Yeah,
Jack Sprat could eat no fat, right?
yeah. Well, I suppose we should ask, I was going to say, what is your universal mind map oracle meditation system? That's a bit of a mouthful.
It is a
It,
So,
mouthful.
It's
Mm.
quite a different thing from my interest in past life work. Uh, this was, I mentioned, I just asked the universe through artificial intelligence to comb through all of human wisdom, psychology, philosophy, religion, self-help, and find principles that every human has to master.
Mhm.
And I came up with these 64 principles, and it is a meditation. If you want to evolve to be your best, this is the best humanity has come up with. And some of them are not, they're what you would think: kindness, empowerment of others, integrity, that kind of thing. So when you do it, if you do the deck, there's this little thing here. I got this little, it's not gonna,
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
there are these cards in here, and you pick a card, and then this text on the card. This one is the wall of fear. That if you want to evolve, you have to train yourself to go through fear to accomplish most anything. And each day you pick one of these things, you read it, and you meditate on it. So if you do this regularly, the two things occur. One is you go through everything humanity has decided we have to master. We have to learn to be kind with each other. Uh, we have to learn to, this card 37, the U-turn. When you find yourself going on a path of addiction or trouble, you got to make a U-turn,
Mhm.
transform. And so one thing you do is you go through all this, but the other thing is that by picking it randomly, keep in mind, I believe that the universe has no coincidences, that everything that occurs is part of our evolution. So it gives the universe a chance to pick. If a person did an oracle deck based on their own experience, and you can find all kinds of oracle decks. You can find an oracle deck for cat lovers. You can find an oracle deck for anything. If it comes from that person's experience in psychology, it has some value. But by choosing the broadest spectrum of all human wisdom, it allows you to be in dialogue with the universe, and you know, as close as you can come to the best of humanity's experience. So you might be having a rough day, and give me a number between 1 and 64.
What,
And
me?
yeah, either one of you. Pick one.
18.
Okay. So 18 that you randomly picked. Let's see if this relates to you at all. 18 is self-compassion, accepting flaws, embrace the glorious mess that you are. That's what you picked today.
That's me.
That's bang on.
Yeah, got me bang to rights there, John.
Yeah.
Go on,
But,
Paul.
but to be a human, you got to like yourself.
Mm,
And none of embracing flaws, none of us is perfect. And a lot of people will be down on themselves because we're not perfect. But your message today is embrace your flaws, embrace the whole you, the
okay,
good.
I'll maybe have to do that tomorrow as well, John, to be fair.
We might have a whole different one tomorrow.
I might have a whole different one, but I should probably still be embracing, should still be embracing my flaws tomorrow.
But all of us need to. See, that's
Can,
the thing about these 64 principles.
can,
If you
can we
want,
can we do Paul because he always comes up whenever we do these things, he always comes up trumps and as you know,
please don't say Trump's. Anyway,
well, I was gonna say, could you maybe send one of these decks to the White House? Because I think, if it's going to be kindness and compassion and maybe possibly doing U-turns, then there's probably people in there who could maybe do with a deck of these cards, John.
I'm going to
well,
go out on a limb and say he wouldn't listen.
what is that phrase? When the student is ready? I mean, is the student ready? I
I
kind
don't
of
think
doubt
he
it.
is ready.
Um, I mean, unless each one said, "You're great." Oh, you're greater than you thought you were. You
Mhm.
think you're great. You're really, really great.
Yeah.
You're
I don't
perfect.
I don't think he's ready. He's more orangey, isn't he?
Oh, Paul,
Oh,
come on.
Hey,
You're
come
better than
on.
that, Paul. You're better than that.
Am I? I don't know if I am. So can I pick a number, please,
Sure. Give
John?
me a number.
Just 27.
Let's see what you got. Oh, letting go, release from ego. Some of us think holding on makes us strong, but sometimes it's letting go, Herman Hesse. And it says, stop fighting anyone today, even yourself. Let there be peace on earth, or at least in your little corner of it. So your message is to transcend ego.
Mm.
I don't
That's
know.
that's quite apt after what's been happening with me the last couple of days, actually. So yeah.
What's been happening with you the last couple of days?
Oh well, I'll cut this. We'll have to edit this out. But I'm having a dispute with my old acting agent over money, basically, which they are trying to uh, claim money for a job that I did, which they're not entitled to, and it's just been rumbling on. And
Well,
to hear that message where it's just like, do you know what? Just let go. Just let it go.
it says you can start by, I wrote this, you can start by picking your battles instead of letting battles pick you. Does that sound too simple? Then try this one instead. Consider today that you don't have to go to every fight to which you are invited. This includes those battles to which you're simply inviting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's your message.
Perfect. Oh, that's ideal. And actually, my union representative emailed me today and went, "I don't want to fight them on this anymore. As far as I'm concerned, the matter's closed. So let's just."
Let it go.
He didn't say let it go, but that's essentially what he was saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
You gotta
and
ask
that
yourself, is it worth it? Is it really worth it?
well, it absolutely is not. No, there's life's too short to be
And
dealing with
this,
this
this is a
nonsense.
principle of evolution. If you want to be happy, you can't go to every battle that calls you.
Mm-hmm.
You,
There
I
we
think we
go.
do this saying, you do you and I'll do me.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't, because some of the cards will tell you to fight battles that you need to fight. But there are sometimes you don't have to.
Mm.
Yes. Well, that's really interesting. Very apt. Very apt for me.
I love this product. I haven't given it enough marketing push. I'm better at creating than marketing this stuff. Even though I was a marketing guy. Um,
Well, that's what I was going to say. So I've never heard of an oracle deck.
oh
So
my God, there are thousands of them.
Yeah.
is it similar
I
to a
have.
tarot deck then?
Yeah, tarot decks, but there are also oracle decks.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mentioned, literally, there's a cat lover's oracle deck where they'll take each one will be pictures of different cats, and it'll be a little message. You know, some are going to be perfect for you, and
Oh, come on. You're getting it. Don't be
well,
John, you're better than that.
I
Don't be
know.
dragged down to Paul's level.
Don't go to every pun that invites you, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well,
Um,
well, talking of that, you asked how we met. We the thing that I wrote was called Game of Cones about the ice cream wars.
The ice
So,
cream,
uh,
the famous ice cream wars.
and you know what? Because it's based on a real thing, and the local police was so rubbish at actually quelling these gangs, these turf wars between rival ice cream vans, that they were nicknamed the Serious Chime Squad. There you go. So there's my couple of puns for you.
aye.
When I was a little kid, our ice cream guy was called Chick. Chick was a thug. Chick would not only sell ice cream, but if the women in the street needed cigarettes, he had those for them. I think he probably had booze. A regular ice cream guy tried to come into our street. Good humor, a national chain. Chick beat the crap out of him.
Well, that's pretty much, yeah, that's what
Yeah.
happened at the East End of Glasgow. There's the one guy who was a legitimate ice cream seller, and slowly, because they're all on these tenement blocks in the East End of Glasgow, and they didn't have, like,
Tough
mini marts
neighborhoods.
and supermarkets, so they would buy their groceries from there, and then that turned into fags and booze, and then it eventually turned into drugs. And there's this
That's what
one
Chick,
guy.
I don't know if he did drugs, but that's what he was doing.
Yeah, and there was some really bad violence. In the end, there was one guy that wouldn't give up his patch, who was a legitimate ice cream seller, and he wouldn't give in to intimidation, whatever. And they tried one last scare and put a firebomb through his letterbox to give him like a just put the willies up him. And yeah, I think I don't know how many people died in the fire, and it
For
was
ice cream.
just for
There's
ice
a
cream.
spirit element to that, but yeah.
Mm, yeah. So. Anyway, what were we talking about? I can't remember. I've gone.
Oracle decks.
Oh yeah, Oracle decks. That was it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
So
you
There are
will.
thousands of them available. If
Yeah,
you go to a
is there?
bookstore, there'll be a section of them.
you will find tarot readers use oracle decks as well as their own
They
tarot
do.
decks as
They
well
do.
as part of a reading.
Yeah.
They'll pull oracle cards as well as tarot cards.
But this is typical Paul, you see. There's like I say, oh, I've never heard of Oracle decks. John, I've heard of Oracle decks. I mean, it's just he's such a teacher's pet. aren't
I'm
you?
not a teacher. I'm just a
Apple.
well-traveled, well-read individual.
No,
That's all.
whoever we have on, you always, please, sir.
I can't help it if I know stuff.
Such a big ego. We've always said that about
Oh,
you, Paul.
that's yeah. I
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
let go.
You do.
Well, it's probably time for us to wrap this, isn't it? Yep.
Yeah, that's about time. Yeah. Have you got any time for one last question? Any questions before we wrap up?
This is fun, of course.
Yes.
Well, one question I was going. Have you got time for? Have you got 5 more minutes, John?
Sure.
You did allude to earlier that people can do this themselves. So if someone was interested in trying to explore this themselves, what advice would you give them?
Uh, Good God. There are lots of practitioners that do what I do.
Hmm.
And I I think if it were me, I would do a search on Google. Google knows everything, and find somebody that I felt compatible with.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know how I picked. Well, I picked some of the people I worked with as a student, if you will, because I knew them from our association. But starting just fresh, I would just feel who you're drawn to. Uh, I would look at reviews. I know I spoke about my bad review
Really?
earlier. I would look at reviews and see what people say about them. You want somebody that has been trained properly. Uh, the big trainers are like Brian Weiss, Michael Newton. Uh, Somebody that's been trained well, somebody that's been doing this for a while. You can do it. Here's the thing I would say. You can do it over Zoom, and I do it over Zoom with people. If it were me and my money, I would rather do it in person.
Yeah.
I'd rather find somebody in your community that specializes in it. A general hypnotist can get you there. We do what's called regression to cause. By the way, my practice was a general practice. Smoking, sports, stress, overweight, overeating.
Hmm.
And I didn't, and I would only do past life if somebody asked me to. And because I got medical referrals. And I didn't want people to know that I did this woo-woo stuff. But I'm 76 years old and I don't care anymore. That I really don't. And it's beautiful not to care anymore.
So do you
So
get to choose? Do you get to choose as we near the end of our existing life? Do you have any sway over what the next step is?
you actually have pretty much absolute sway after you pass.
Hmm.
Um, Although, again, there's past life exploration, which I'm specialize in. There's also afterlife, life between lives. And in that case, what apparently happens is you review your life, what lessons you need to still learn, but you work with spirits that consult with you. I mean, and there are people that talk about this like they've been there, and that's over my pay grade. This is what I've heard.
Okay,
I,
well,
I was
listen.
I was at a conference not too long ago, and one of our guest speakers was this notable woman, leader in the field, Dolores Cannon, and she was on the bill. Dolores Cannon is speaking from 2 to 3. She died in 2004. She was channeled.
What?
Oh,
It was beautiful. So I am more conservative than people that do what I do generally. And I asked Dolores Cannon I asked her, are you going to come back? And Dolores Cannon, through this medium, says, no, I'm going to wait a while. I'm going to rest from my last incarnation. Um, so, like I said, I'm not as out there as some of my colleagues
Wow.
yet.
Yet there's still time, John.
Still time.
now, I know we were talking earlier about people saying that I was Cleopatra or
Right.
somebody notable in a previous life. What is the most notable past life regression that you have experienced, either personally or with a client?
My very, very favorite, and he was notable, this African shaman, and it was my favorite life that I've been to. He did everything right. I first in the village, and I'm all dressed, and I'm doing everything perfect, and he had no idea. if it was real. He'd go into your hut, he'd cure you. If you got cured, he'd be as amazed as anybody in the village. You know? And he dies trying to get power from a rhinoceros. A rhinoceros horn is useful for male potency, but other ailments as well. So he's got this thought, he was the best life I had, where he was engaged in inquiry. He was asking himself the questions, what is it to be human?
Mm-hmm.
What is magic? What are there spirits? That's my favorite life of all the ones. I've never been notable in my past lives. And the people that I've had that thought they were, I think they're more like you, Lee, who were making up a story so they can tell at the next cocktail party.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, if I was gonna, well, I did make up the story. If I was gonna make up the story, I could have really made up a humdinger, couldn't I? Rather than just some bloke living in a mud hut. I mean, this is the thing again. I have all the episodes we've done, and I apologize to listeners because I say this all the time. But if there's one thing I could do for mental health, I would do cold water therapy. Now, I've been trying to get Paul to do cold water therapy since we started, and I'm still waiting.
I tried it once. It was too cold.
Right, so it is very cold. It's the clue's in the title. Anyway, I would almost guarantee, and he hasn't said anything yet, but I would almost guarantee he'd say, "Oh, I'll have a go. I'll have a go at past life regression." I can almost guarantee whatever his past lives were, he was amazing in all of them.
But toward mental health, to any of your listeners who are interested in that,
That's what we're supposed to be talking about.
if they've been in therapy and they're blocked, it's possible that this could give them the release they've been looking for.
Mm-hmm. I think we need to put that on the shopping list because I'm much more likely to get Paul to do that.
Oh yeah, I would much happily be happier doing some past life regression than dunking myself in cold water.
I tried it about 3 or 4 months ago, and it was too cold. I don't know how you can do that. How can you force yourself to be in an ice cube
Oh,
bath?
that's great.
I tried, literally.
I love it.
Lee has an old whiskey barrel in his back garden that's filled with cold water. He just jumps in it.
You do?
I don't know.
For real?
Yeah.
Hey, do you get a lot of benefit out of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard people say that. It's supposed to be transformative.
Uh-huh. No, I love it.
So,
The only thing I
Paul,
have noticed is I can't put my forearms in. I can't. I can sit on that. I can sit in a bath up to there, as long as I've got my forearms on the side of the tank. If I've got my hands and my forearms, it hurts like crazy.
I wouldn't worry about it. That's remarkable. You can do it. How long do you sit in the?
Oh, not long. I mean, I'm so I went to this float. What was it called, Paul? Float ice
Float
fire.
ice fire. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. So you went in a flotation tank for 45 minutes.
45 minutes. In the flotation is
Oh, in a
different.
flotation tank, yeah.
Flotation is very comfortable. It's usually warm with saline and
Well, you say it's comfortable. However, my overriding sensation initially was I didn't realize I had so many little cuts on my body because it's very salty water. And I'm like,
yes, it is.
that's really stinging. And I didn't even know I had a cut here and on my knee. So that wasn't very relaxing to start with. So you float about in there for 40 minutes, 45 minutes. And then I went in the sauna for about 15 minutes. And then she's got the ice bath is chilled to 3.5 degrees.
Oh no.
Like 5 minutes in the ice bath, or not even that long?
Yeah, I think I did, yeah, 3 or 4 minutes is enough. But I mean, after you get past the first, other than my forearms, once you get past the first probably minute and a half.
Sort of acclimatize.
Yeah.
I've never got past the first minute and a half.
That's it.
No, I love it. Well, do you know what we'll do? We'll have to find someone locally. It's probably not the done thing that I sit in and watch, but
no, that would be weird, I think.
To be on your podcast, to have Paul get in a tub with ice, that'd be cool. Podcast video.
It would be, wouldn't it, John?
John, you're supposed to be on my side.
I've been telling him this for the last 18 months, Nelly, but he's not doing it.
People rave about what you're talking about. They say it's transformative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do. He just
doesn't want to do it.
I don't want to do it. No, I will do past life regression in a heartbeat. I will much much prefer to do that than do an ice bath. So
Mm. Right. Well, we'll find someone locally then, and we'll do that.
yeah, no, I'll be well up for that.
Okay.
Um, and John, just before we call it a day, this is your opportunity to plug anything that you want to plug, be it a website or your book or your Oracle deck.
Oh my. Well, my book, and the front cover, I actually won an award for the best cover of the year in the category. That's
Oh
me,
wow.
my black
Oh,
shaman, and my wife's wife when she was Victor.
that's
And it's
cool.
available. It's called My Autobiographies on Amazon, Amazon.com. Look up John Koenig, Koenig, and My Autobiographies. And it's available, my audiobook, as well as, Kindle, paperback, hardback. But my new thing, my Oracle deck, is this is a little bit lengthy. It's a website, HTTPS colon slash slash the universal mind
The
deck.com.
universalminddeck.com.
Universalminddeck.com. Because the idea that the principles came from the universal mind of
Hmm.
humanity, of our best thinking as a species. And our best thinking of a species, some of the stuff is so basic. Uh, Compassion for others, uh, patience, adaptability, vulnerability, open book. Uh, don't be afraid to give up the good to go for the great transformation, mindfulness, generosity, connection to others. It's the basic stuff that our species have come up with. If you want to lead a good life, not to be selfish, but to be generous, not to be judgmental, but to be compassionate. Ain't rocket science, but to have it all in one place, I find useful. The universalminddeck.com.
Are you sure you couldn't send a copy to the White House?
Well, I
Just on
think
the off chance.
there's a thing about diversity in there. So,
Ah, yeah.
well, there is a thing about diversity. As a matter of fact, I've got this image of a black man and a white man shaking hands. It's about inclusion. If you want to evolve as a human to accept others,
Mm.
it's fundamental instead of ruling somebody out. This one of my lives was uh, a guard at a Sicilian camp of Auschwitz. I got a lot of karma to overcome from that life.
I
Uh,
bet.
when people do that, when they dehumanize, and unfortunately, that's becoming a trend. Right-wing movements in Germany and the States. Uh, it's not a joke. It's entirely possible that we're moving in that direction, and that is not the way to evolve as a human. That's the way to go into a world of hurt for yourself and others. Um, Sorry
I
about
I genuinely think if I didn't have kids, I've got well, she's going to be 8 on Saturday. 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. I think I would genuinely consider just going to the Highlands of Scotland or one of the Western Isles and just living completely off grid.
that. Yeah, it's hard these days, and I know I watch too much news,
Mm.
and I know some people, have friends have stopped.
Yeah.
To me, it's like watching a car crash.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you not watch it? Uh, some people don't watch it, and some people choose to de-stress. There's the great book by Voltaire, Candide, where he ends with this solution. This guy's all this tragedy, and the solution is to tend your own garden.
Yep.
Dr. Pangloss, tend
Yep.
your own garden.
Hmm.
Um, when all is said and done, I'm not sure that's perfectly adequate because one of the cards in the deck is social responsibility. If you truly want to evolve as a person, you
Mm.
can't just tend your own garden.
Mm.
You've got to look out for other people.
Hmm.
And I don't know what we're being called on to do these days, but that horrible Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times.
Hmm.
We are living, unfortunately, in interesting times now.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you say, it's that balancing act, isn't it, between because I find, we are, believe it or not, John, we are supposed to be a mental health and well-being podcast, but I do find that shutting myself off from social media and shutting myself off from the news is very beneficial.
Yes, it is.
But at the same time, you need to be informed about things and be able to, not live in your own little bubble that you are. So you are helping other people. So I think it's getting that balancing act between not being saturated by, all this news, which is always bad, um, and still being there to sort of help your fellow man or woman.
One of the cards is about interconnectedness, and you could try in 1938 Germany to do that.
Mm,
Good luck with that.
yeah.
There's a certain point where we are all in this together, and the evolved soul, I think, needs to grasp that.
Hmm.
It's not just maybe Dr. Pangloss was wrong. You don't just tend your own garden, you make sure the other guy has a garden that's tended as well.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful sentiment.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to end, John.
So thank you both very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
No, thank you. That was fascinating. I really enjoyed listening to that, and I'm going to check out Ian Stevenson and the Netflix documentary and your autobiography. I'm fascinated by this as a subject, so it's been brilliant. Thank you, John.
It's been a pleasure, and good luck in your work. It's a good thing to bring this kind of stuff to the world. So thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much,
Ian.
John. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
How do I get off of this thing? Are you going to stop recording, I assume?
I'll stop recording. Yeah.